I made a Hypixel Games tier list about 2 months ago, and it was mostly well received despite some people disagreeing with my takes. It's fair, we all have things we disagree on, but the video did well and I was curious what the community thinks about these games. So I went to the tier list maker website and saw a community ranking section where the website averages all the lists published to the site. The results were pretty interesting to me, so I felt like covering them here and just giving general reactions to them and comparing them with my own list. However, it's worth noting that very few people actually publish their lists to these sites. This is not gospel. Some of this will look wrong and not be a perfect representation of what the community thinks. Just an idea of it. Also, this is from 2020. Wool Wars didn't exist yet, which means this list is invalid. I'll be going from bottom to top, starting with the F tier, which actually only has one game in it, and I feel kinda bad for it because it's Arena Brawl. I gave it F tier too, but I was pretty unfair to the game and used my lack of knowledge of it for cheap laughs. I was too harsh, but a lot of people agree. Arena Brawl is not that good. But as someone who participated in Arena Brawl slander, this is also Arena Brawl slander. There's also only one game in the E tier, and that's Warlords. Now, Warlords does have its fans, but it's also one of the most dead game modes on the server in terms of player count, so this makes sense. It's very niche, and I doubt anyone that filled this out has really played a lot of Warlords. It's one of those games that's probably fun if you spend a lot of time learning the ins and outs of it and getting used to it, but not much is drawing people to this game, especially now. It's something not many people really want to learn. There's a couple games in D tier though. We'll start by talking about Smash Heroes, because it's a pretty similar game to Warlords in terms of reception. It's a custom resource pack game with a small community. Smash Heroes probably benefits from needing less people for a game to start, but honestly I feel pretty much the same about these two games, so I wouldn't really feel the need to separate these by a tier. Another custom resource pack game, Turbo Kart Racers, also makes an appearance in D tier, another game I was unfair to, but TKR has also kind of been a joke for a lot of people. This is a game I see get written off more than any other and not given a fair shot, and it does have its people, but most people are not going to be high on this one. The last game the community put in D tier was strangely Vampire Z. I don't know, I feel like this is a bit inaccurate. I think this game is at least generally considered to be good, maybe not great, but it can be one of the more fun Hypixel games casually and still gets fills at a pretty decent rate today. I'd put an asterisk next to this one. I think the Hypixel community as a whole likes Vampire Z more than these 20 people. Moving on, C tier has 4 games, starting with UHC, which is such a hard game mode to rank. I think depending on the year, you get a wildly different ranking on where this game goes. In its prime, it would rank pretty high. Today, it would be pretty low because of hackers and other issues. The game's just in a rough state. This tier list is from 2020 and probably got a lot of its votes in between those two eras, so C tier makes sense to me. Next is The Pit, which honestly I really like and was kind of surprised to see it down here. I kind of expected it to be in the B to A range. Honestly, I didn't even recognize that icon and I had to do research to figure out what it even was, so maybe others got confused and blindly put it in low spots. But I think it's a generally well-liked game mode, so yeah, I'd say this is a bit inaccurate. Another one that surprised me was Cops and Crims. I thought people didn't like this game, to be honest. Like, you compare the reputation of Cops and Crims to The Pit. The Pit's more popular. It's a more liked game mode. Now, I do see Cops and Crims as a C tier game, but I feel like that's an unpopular opinion, and most people would put it lower. It's a game I never really hear anyone talk about and really give any positive attention to. It's decent, though. Lastly, Housing's in C tier. B tier has 7 games in it. First is Duels, which makes sense to me. Duels is solid for what it is, you know, it's an expansive game mode that just boils down to you PvPing another player. It's not in-depth, but it's one of those things a lot of people can get behind because of all the titles you can get, win streak leaderboards, or just the fun of casually PvPing. There's a lot to do for how short the matches are. Quakecraft also ended up here. This game's got a devout community behind it. It can still consistently get fills despite the game being a decade old. That being said, this game does not click with me at all, and I wouldn't put it anywhere near the B tier, but I understand its appeal, and you can get some pretty fun and satisfying kill combos in it if you're good at it. I'm not, but maybe it's one of those games you just need to spend several hours learning to be able to enjoy it these days, I don't know. Another game I put low, Paintball Warfare, also ended up this high. My video's placement may seem harsh, but I also think paintball is usually kind of boring. I like the concept though, but I always struggle to understand the appeal of this one. I don't really know what the community sees in it. If there's any paintball fans watching, let me know. I'd really like to understand this one better. Up next is Blitz. This is around where I expected it. If I remember correctly, the prime of Minecraft survival games was mostly not on Hypixel, which might impact this a bit. Blitz is a fun spin on the mode that certainly has its people, but SG is not the most accessible game mode for newcomers already, and it's not as popular as some of the server's other PvP minigames. On the topic of PvP minigames though, both the walls and Mega Walls made it to B tier. From an objective standpoint, I think this is correct, although I feel the Mega Walls community is bigger. Admittedly, Mega Walls doesn't really click with me at all, but the Walls does. I'm just willing to be kinda wrong on that. I think B is pretty fair for both these games though. Lastly, we have a game that people will get mad at me for, even though this is a website's ranking and not mine. Skyblock's down here. Yeah, you'd think the most popular game out on the server would be higher than that, but I think I know why. Classic games like Quakecraft, The Walls, and Paintball all did well. So a good amount of people filling this list out are probably more old school players, which is typically a group Skyblock doesn't click with as much. We also have to understand how hard it is to rank Skyblock compared to other Hypixel minigames, because Skyblock isn't really a minigame, it's a full game, and it's a way different dynamic to play. It's like if I made a tier list of all the Mario Party minigames, but also had to rank the Bible in there. Like, yeah, there's a lot more hours of content in the Bible, surely more than bumper balls, but it's hard to be fair when the game itself offers a completely different experience. That's how I think about Skyblock, but I'm mostly an outsider when it comes to the game, and I haven't played much. Also worth noting that a lot of people don't like Skyblock simply because its success causes the server to neglect other game modes. Yeah, it's not fair to the quality of the game, but there's people that feel that way. Jesus Christ, I did not plan on making that segment so long. I have similar thoughts on both A-tier games here, so I'm just gonna lump them together. Murder Mystery and Build Battle. Yep, this confused me too. These have decently sized player counts, but I don't think the community at large thinks that highly of these games. They're two solid casual experiences that are fun and relaxing. That being said, I'm surprised at this placement and think it's a bit inaccurate. I've definitely heard these games get talked a lot of trash on in the past. Good games, but I'm skeptical. With 4 games left in S tier, we'll start by talking about arcade games, which doesn't surprise me at all. If you think any of the arcade games are S tier, you're putting arcade games in S tier. There's a ton of variety, this is 100% fair. I only put it in A because I don't really think any one experience here is S tier. But I get the argument that the collective experience of arcade games is S tier. Next is Bed Wars, Hypixel's biggest PvP minigame right now. A ton of people that play Hypixel are in the PvP scene, and this is the easiest one to enjoy for a lot of people. This list was also created in 2020, a year where Bed Wars was thriving. When it comes to Bed Wars, S tier definitely didn't surprise me. This was something I expected. Skywars is also in S tier and used to be the biggest PvP minigame on Hypixel. I think Skywars' reputation has fallen down a bit in the last 2 years, but even today the game still has its fans, like me. Since coming back to making videos, my Skywars ones have just been the most fun to produce. There's so much untapped potential with it all these years later, and I'm glad to see it up here. It may not be as popular as it was back then, but I think it 100% deserves this spot. So how the hell did TNT games get up here? Did I misjudge the reputation of this game? Like, I didn't think it was that popular. What's it doing here? Am I crazy? Maybe, but I don't think this is why. Like, the TNT games are fine. Not S tier, but fine. Maybe I'm just ignorant, as I used to say. But it's whatever. Here's a picture of all of the rankings on your screen now. Friendly reminder to those who skipped to the end of the video, I didn't make this. Don't kill the messenger. But thanks for watching. I've been making a lot of live commentaries recently on a ton of different Hypixel games, so if you like that, stick around. I got some cool stuff. It's just been a while since I wrote a video, especially one this long. Hope you guys liked it. I'll catch you later. Peace out.